physics and gravity still apply. Just to be clear, this is not in space. That's a very divergent thinker we've got here. In the back, your hand went up almost as soon as I put the thing up. So,
well, first, that is a dripless candle.
no.
No.
Okay. No, we just thought that, you know, you take the tacks and you put it along sticking out with the cork cord to hold the candle in place and just stick the box from the tack on the cord so the wax.
All right, it's a good solution. How about, did you just say that was somebody else's?
No, that's what we thought.
Okay, that's what you thought. So sometimes people do that and say, that's what he told me.
Oh.
Okay, good. That's one solution. How about the back?
Take the board off the wall with the candle on it.
Oh, geez, there's always got to be somebody who wants to destroy the whole room. That's another solution. How about another?
We were thinking empty the box of tacks, tack the box to the board, light the candle, put the wax in, and stick the candle in the hot wax so it's in the box. And then it will burn down and the wax will collect in the box.
That turns out to be the solution. By the way, I should tell you, aren't you, you're the incoming
association chair.
I should tell you, you might not know this, that was your big test. This was whether or not you actually get to keep the job.
Oh, damn!
Sorry, you gotta stay now.
I knew I should have kept my mouth shut.
Nice work. So it turns out that this is a solution to the Dunker's candle problem. Now, I'm going to tell you something about that just because I don't want people to feel like have low self-esteem or like, oh, that's great that Daly came in, tried to pump us all up, and then we all left with low self-esteem.
But I do like the tearing up the room one, though.
Yeah, that's very nice. Destroying things is very nice. And there'll be another one for you to do.
It's the Veterans Association.
Yes. It turns out that if you give people the Dunker candle problem, just like I gave it to you, about 40% of the people get it right without talking to each other. So about 40% get it right. Now, if you do something very clever, which is if you give them that same Dunker candle problem, but instead of having the tacks inside the box, you empty the tacks out and you put the tack box there, close to 100% of people get it right. Why is that? Because you've already solved part of the problem.
Part of the problem is solved. You made it available.
You have an empty box instead of a full box.
Yeah.
You have already eliminated one step.
That's exactly right. The issue is that we think about the box with the tacks in it as a holder for the tacks, not as a holder for the candle. It's something called functional fixedness. We get in our minds what something should be and how something should be used, and we find it very difficult to look at that in a new and different way. It's a very powerful idea.
I was going to say, isn't that kind of like how when you apply for a job and they look at what your current title is as opposed to the title you're applying for, and it's functional fixedness in terms of people?
That's right. This is a case in which the form doesn't drive the function. Right? So how, in our own workplaces, can we think about times where we've looked at something in the same way we've always looked at it, and can we think about it as something different this time? That's a real challenge. Now, I'm a very nice sort of faculty person, or I try to be, so I'm going to give you another one of these. So this is Meyer's two-string problem. This is, by the way, I would consider my entire faculty career, the very short period of this, to be completely worthwhile if I had some, like, Daly's two-sneaker problem, or something like this. This is what I'm striving for. So here's Meyer's two-string problem. The people that love to question existing laws of physics and to tear things apart are going to love this one. So here we go. Here's what your task is. You've got to tie these two strings together. Now, I just want to point out a couple things. You are not stretch person, so your arm can't like suddenly stretch. You can't suddenly have springs in your shoes and bounce really high. But what I'm going to do to help you do this is I'm going to give you a chair. I'm going to give you a pair of pliers. So your job is to tie those two pieces of string together.
And they actually.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can. I think you just did.
Do
So in other words, you're successful.
Two questions.
those strings have to remain attached to the ceiling?
Yes, they do. That's a very important question.
Where they are now.
Where they... Yes, where they are now. Excellent question.
Facilities.
Excellent. Yeah. By the way, let me just be really clear.
We're in facility.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I want to make a public announcement. I do not advocate in any way, shape, or form that you would insert anything into your ceilings in your offices anywhere. Taking pliers and taking anything out of the walls in your offices anywhere. I just want to be really clear about that. Okay, so how do you solve this problem? Have a discussion about it.
So I'm not going to have a thought on this in case it involves my job in the future.
We have to see the screen doesn't stretch.
Well, how far does that string go over to? Why
Oh,
can't we use the
I
light?
know how to do it.
Huh? You see the device? Use the light.
I'm going to take the light down.
But then bringing it under. Oh, right.
So this kind of out of the box. Okay, I'm going to get it. Because then you could. Oh. Stick it up there.
Okay, about 1 more minute.
Was there anything? What about the
But
pliers?
even so, you can take the. What about the pliers? Anything?
Okay.
You can take the. Well, the pliers will help you put the strings where they need to go.
Because you're right, like if you could tie like one end like this, hold it and then put it on somehow.
Okay, let's come together. All right, friends.
Has to do with
Where are the, what are the, yes, in the back. Tell me, vet community center, yeah.
Yeah, tie the string to the pliers and put it on the chair, and then go get the other string and come back to the chair, and then tie the string together.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Not the right answer, but it is. Please, another guess. It's a good one though.
What this guy is? Like a champ.
No, she's already.
Eating.
Yeah. She winked at me. She's like, if I get this one wrong, do I lose the job? I'm like, no way.
Just to be safe, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Wait, isn't this the astrophysicist? Aren't you connected to the? Yes. Create a big rocket. Yeah.
Oh, I know, well, it's all theoretical, so
Yes.
it wouldn't be applying to any of this. But I'm not afraid of making mistakes. 'Cause
It's a very
so
safe.
I'm happy to be wrong.
Bring it, sister.
So I take the pliers with the stage left string in my hand, stand on the chair, clip the one string to the little
Thing in the ceiling.
light,
Yeah.
and then get the other string and
Oh,
catch it.
that's also interesting, but wrong.
Oh,
Okay, how about another one? According to Meyer, it's wrong. It may actually work, but according to Meyer, it's wrong. How about one other guess, please? Last guess. Bring it home.
This is going to be really crazy, but I'm going to take the pliers and unhinge all the chair parts and use the longest rod, and I'll tie one string to the longest rod and then tie the string to the other side of the longest rod. So technically they're tied together with the help of the rod.
Come on.
Yes, excellent. Forget what the professor said the rules are and make up your own rules.
There were no rules.
Meyer would say the following, that what you do, and there's probably other ways to solve this, but I'll illustrate this point. Meyer said what you would do is you would take the pliers. You wouldn't actually use them as pliers, which is what you did essentially, right? Meyer says take the pliers, tie them to one of the strings, set that a rocket.
I was going to say that.
Like a pendulum, right? And so when it swings up, you grab them, you tie it together. Now, again, to make sure that we're not hurting anybody's self-esteem in any way, shape, or form,
Too late.
only...
Same idea of using the pliers as a weight.
That was good. Yeah, you get partial credit.
Doesn't look like
Yeah, I should say, just to be clear, when I'm all done, you're all going to get gold stars.
Thank you.
I'm from the education department, so we've got a crate of them. So what happened is that roughly the same percentage, that 60% of the folks didn't think about using the pliers, right? They came up with other fabulously wonderful divergent ideas of how to solve this, but didn't come up with pliers. So Meyer did something quite interesting. So in the experiment room where people are kind of messing around with this, and I think it'd be a lot easier if you were like in the room with the stuff. It's a little harder to do this sort of mentally, but the facilities folks wouldn't let me drill holes in the wall and everything else. Sorry, guys. And so what he did was something quite interesting. He just bumped up against the string while this was going on, and the string started moving. When he did that, 23 out of 27 people were able to solve the problem.
Wow.
So what Meyer did was he provided a hint. He didn't directly tell somebody what to do, he just offered a hint about it. And to me, what this connects to is this connects to the idea of brainstorming. That we can sometimes just generate and come up with a whole bunch of different ideas. Some are going to seem completely kooky, but they will trigger somebody else to come up with another idea. So the question then becomes, how can we hold the space to allow the kookiness to reign? Do we really protect that space so that people can really think creatively? And maybe those ideas are completely wacky, but in fact they might give a hint to somebody else to come up with another solution. That may have happened with some of you in the room as you were talking to one another, you're bouncing ideas back and forth. So the idea is this. Sometimes we get stuck in these mental models of the ways that we do things. We have maps in our head about the way the world works. And those maps are really quite difficult to change. Sometimes for ourselves, they're often quite difficult to change for our supervisors, directors. Forget about faculty, they're a nightmare, can't change their minds on anything. So we have these mental maps that we really hold on to. The question is, how are we transparent about them? How do we put them out there? And then how do we rigorously look at them and see if they really make sense about how you might experience the world? This is one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I think it speaks to the work that you're engaging here. It's Margaret Wheatley. She's a really nice writer, thinks a lot about organizations, and she says the following. In organizations, real power and energy is generated through relationships. And the capacity to form those relationships is more important than tasks, functions, roles, and positions. I don't think it matters what your title is. I think it's about our ability to form relationships, to form connections between and among ourselves, to really build a deep and profound social network that we can access a lot of social capital. I'm a firm believer in this idea, and it's a provocative one, that the knowledge resides in the room to solve whatever problems we may face. It's already here. Our job is to uncover it. That's our job as leaders. And if we think about this, we can think about this work as taking place in formal organizations. All of you are used to seeing these formal organizational charts. You've got the all-knowing red eye at the top, who is none of us in this room, and then you've got a bunch of other boxes down below. I think the world is more